Hey there, friends. In tonight's video, I'm gonna have a exercise that sounds good, but if you do it, it's even better. And I'm gonna be really, really real with you. It is very powerful. Now, how powerful is it? It allows you to actually invoke into this reality whatever the freak you want. Now, wanting doesn't come from the mind, because the mind is sometimes creating layered up systems where it says like believes it lacks something and then it wants to compensate for that by another thing, and it's always like focused on describing perhaps the external reality. On the other hand, intuition and imagination are powerful faculties that relate to our emotional world and spiritual world. How does this work? Whatever we think, and whenever we think that by our thinking we are in charge of something, that we can think our way out of something or realize something by the efforts of the will, that is exhausting. That is energetically exhausting, because the reality simply does not work like that. So we may try to give all of our energy into something, and we might get a result, but we may feel exhausted, or we may not even get the result or the result that we wanted, and we might grind and hustle and work really, really hard. Now, here's a simple way to do something. Now, whatever you can imagine should be pleasant to you, should be exciting to you. And if you're trying to imagine something and you can't picture it, you can't seem to imagine it effortlessly, then maybe it's not the right thing. It might be something that your mind is thinking it's a substitute for something that you believe you're lacking. Now, when you feel positive about something, when you feel excited about something, even if that feels like just a dream, something that is far, far, far away from your reality, then actually that is your authentic imagination, and it should make you feel really, really excited. So by simply dreaming up a situation that makes you feel positive, you have already created that. Now, the biggest problem with, and I was trying this out because I was like, before a few years ago, I was like, I can't believe we're all God, and it's just like we are the universe dreaming itself. So I was like, can I imagine all the things that seemed impossible? And I went and I did it, and then after I finished my list of impossible things that seemed to my programming impossible, all of these things manifested. And even winning the lottery and winning in the casino, or just even like really random stuff that was just like stupidly entertaining, and I heard it and people made it sound like impossible, so I tried it all. And my excitement about imagining all these things wasn't coming from the experiences that I would manifest. Like usually, like it would be just like if you ever see people go fishing. I've never went fishing actually, but some people, they go fishing and they catch a fish and then just throw it back into the river or the sea. And for me, this was kind of like also like just a sport that excited me for the for just the exploration of the potential. Like, I ended up like never even wanting to like maybe play out these experiences. It was more like fun to discover that that is really possible. And so when things would play out, or I would like uh, just get some like random money, stupid money, win the lottery, I just like put that fish back in the ocean, because my joy was satisfied by just like uh, well, I didn't really have use for all of these experiences. I was just actually excited about manifesting all of it, just to explore. That curiosity for exploration of consciousness and exploration of reality, it was my reason to get excited about these things. And so I promise you everything is possible. And I even manifested a universe. And that was a very transcendent experience that happened in a cohesion, in a coherence of all dimensions. So it's a whole other story. But I became like this archetypal light body of Shiva, and my partner, she became the archetypal light body of Shakti, and then we birthed the whole universe. And I can't say much about it. Like it would, it's gonna maybe show up in another video. Now, we are all this. We're all this one consciousness that then creates all of these different vessels, individualities for itself. And then to actually have diversity, all of our individualities, our unique souls and personalities that soul wears throughout lifetimes, we all have free will to believe whatever we want to believe. So whatever we choose to believe, it's still a make-believe, because the reality is just imagination. So all the beliefs that you have, they're imaginary beliefs, and the reality itself is imaginary. So when you start believing something new, you will start seeing that happen. And so here's the biggest obstacle to manifesting. It is holding beliefs that are not congruent with our imagination. Now, the imagination itself, it comes from our God self, our innermost self, or subdimensional 0-point self that is beyond this holographic construct of reality. So when we imagine, it is actually the spiritual dimension that is giving us a snapshot of something that is already created. So we're just aligning with that channel where that is going to play out in our video game. So if we can imagine it, it's already possible, it's already created. We just need to focus on daydreaming, imagining these things that give us a positive feeling. So that's number one. If something is hard to imagine, so first of all, when you want to imagine something, just let go of the little computer Tinky Winky pad, this like logical mind. You don't need to know anything. It's simply the 0-point self, the nothingness, formless self, formless being, is projecting everything through a dimensional coherence, and all of the dimensions, they're already set up in a way that everything is manifested. So the magic is already working, and the magic is already real. So you just need to use the system that is already in place and dabble in your daydreams. So first of all, drop any resistance and just feel free to just imagine the best possible scenarios and dream about them, and then go into detail and just feel, touch, lick, and smell that reality. And then the nuisance or something that might hinder that manifestation, it might be our inner misalignment or inner conflict or self-doubt or whatever you want to call it, like resistance or anxiety to that new reality. And this is usually called shadow work, or sometimes like we want to integrate that resistance. So what we have already seen and imagine, so we can actually just be vibrating with it or vibing with it 100%. Things really show up once we don't have anything against that. Now, when I say when we don't have anything against that, it's really about asking your energy, asking your subconscious, am I 100% aligned with this imagination? And if you ask your subconscious to give you a number, you can check your energies, and your subconscious will tell you you're 78%. It will just show you a number depending on your asking. Your subconscious knows everything, everywhere, all at once. So if I say, how aligned am I to, I don't know, win a lottery, some amount of money, and then my subconscious says 100%, then I can consider that to be done, and I can also know that I will be aligned where that shows up, that I will not second guess it or cause some quantum instability by starting to have, I don't know, restricting like moods or thoughts or something like that. So before you allow that whatever thing you want to be your experience of life, it is as simple as this. Hey subconscious, from 0 to 100%, how aligned am I to experience fully this reality and receive whatever experience is manufactured by the cosmos for my individual avatar. And if you have a 78% alignment or a 90% alignment, and then it means you will have some small percent of resistance, even your imagination might tell you that there is only a 10% alignment and there is a 90% resistance, which means you're aiming at a big quantum jump. If you're going to reset a 90% resistance, you're going to energetically change a lot of your beliefs. And I'm going to tell you a really simple way to do this, or few simple ways to do this. It's all about integrating that resistance. Now, if you have a big resistance, but still your imagination is making you excited in a positive way, that simply means that your energetic memory, which is your karma, which is your individuality, holds different impressions from your past, from your previous life, or your previous lifetimes, or your even ancestral lives. So all of this memory is we call karma, and it's just energetic imprint. So it's still a dimension of your world, is dimension of your experience. It's a more subtle dimension. It's an energetic dimension where your impressions are recorded, and your life force, your energy, is storing emotions and pictures, literally, in your subconscious mind. And this is the whole database of your individuality. So to go through the subconscious, it's infinite, right? So you want to use it in a smart way, like a smartphone or a computer, because let's say on your computer you can go and open a search bar and say, show me all the files that contain a word picture or something, or there, and then your Finder or like Explorer window, that you use to browse your computer, will show you all of these files, and you don't have to go file by file. You can select all of them, like you click select all, and then put them in a recycle bin, and then say empty recycle bin, right? And they go, and there's no more files. And so the same thing you can do with your subconscious mind. Now here's a warning: before you do this, consider that if you have a 10% resistance or 20% resistance to your imagination, that might be a milder energetic memory release or integration to accomplish. And you can still batch it, you can still select all of the resistance all at once, and you can tell your subconscious mind to rewrite it or delete it or whatever. you will be deleting your memory. So you might be like not remembering something that used to be your identity, or even timelines of the past that you used to experience that you might identify with. They might change. You might remember a different reality, or you might not remember any reality at all if you do this. So that's a word of caution. Now, if you have a 90% resistance, that might be like you're going to delete a lot of your identity, a lot of your karma, a lot of your individuality all at once if you batch delete it. Or so I'm gonna literally give you computer analogies, because I find that we all use computer systems today, so it might be a good analogy for you to understand how to play with your energetic memory in a creative way. And because I tried all of this, I'll give you some warnings. And here's how it worked for me. First of all, I learned uh, emotional transformation, subconscious reprogramming, and other type of energy work. So I would be going into my manifestation, and I would be doing this. I would be doing this writing or energy work or dream work, shamanic work, to release impressions from my subconscious that weren't aligning with what I desired. And for like a beginner level, that is very actually natural, because you get to understand all the memories that you're carrying with you, and some of them go deeper. They go into past lives and ancestral lives, so they can go very deep. And so I learned at one point that there could be a easier way, that I could just release all of this energy all at once, instead of really, for example, on the beginner level, I could ask myself, what is my resistance? And then I could write it down, and I can burn these pages or pieces of paper when I wrote out all of the resistances, all of the feelings or ideas, beliefs in my subconscious that resist, for example, me winning the lottery. And if I write them down and then I burn it, and then in that act, I would sort of simulate a destruction of that energy, or transformation through fire of that energy that was my subconscious programming. So that worked, and I did it in so many ways, and I use, techniques that are similar to dream work or NLP and all this kind of stuff. And then I realized that everything, because I meditated and I dabble in the subdimensional space, or the 0 point, and I realized nothing exists. Really, it's all just an imagination, and that imagination is crystallized from a more subtle form into more dense form, or more crystallized physical form. So it seems like a physical reality, etc., but still it's quantum, it's imagined. And nothing is real. So then I realized, okay, so even my beliefs, or whatever, whoever I am, that is not real. That is just storage in an imaginary computer that has imaginary data. Okay, there's this universe. So I was like, so I can just batch delete all of this data, and here is the result that I had when I commanded from the formless self, or the God self, the override of all of this data across dimensions, so I can become somebody new who's totally aligned with the new reality experience that I was curious to have. Sometimes I would just sleep for 48 hours, or I couldn't get out of the bed because I didn't feel like I was in my body. Everything felt dizzy, and I commanded these huge energetic transformations. So I was just my systems were down, because everything was like updating, and all these energy currents were going through all of the dimensions of this reality architecture, and they were changing, rewriting everything. So this is the power of your subdimensional self to influence all of the karmic densities and all of your everything. And I learned this through energy healing, and I learned when I started to uh, actually kind of perform energy healings, that they just work, that anything can be healed even instantly or kind of miraculously if we comply, if we surrender to our innermost self or the God self and drop our mindsets and beliefs that kind of still keep us in the reality where something is perpetually going out of order, right? So we have to give permission on all levels to God self, which is your innermost self in the subdimensional space, 0 point quantum space. And from that space, every subsequent dimension of manifestation is reharmonized. And so I have experienced, first of all, myself, uh, different miraculous healing, and then I performed this healing on others, and well, I was just like amazed how powerful that can be. And then I use the same approach for changing my reality template, or this subconscious database of energies that create my reality and my future. And so after many experimentations, because I was just deleting everything and then making up new things and then jumping into those timelines and then having those then I became a nobody. I literally had no identity left, and I made any freaking idea that came to my mind, realized, and then I realized there's no motivational structure or desire structure in my individuality, in my karma, so now I don't even feel like I want anything, or I don't even feel like I'm anyone in particular. And then even if I wanted to desire or think, I became like without thoughts and without desires, and I was sort of like not taking any action towards anything, and nothing was happening. I had a body, but I was like mostly in the subdimensional space without an identity. So to the far extent, you have this ultimate authority and the authorship over your own timeline, and everything is just for play. So it kind of even feels better to have a little bit of karma, a little bit of energetic memory, a little bit of identity, or even a lot, because you're more free when you are nobody and have no relationship to anything, because you can just make up anything and it will instantly manifest. But then there's no play there, because when we get immersed into the first person and we get immersed into the timeline, immersed into the game, and identified with desires and happenings, then we actually we are on this carousel ride, and we're just making up new desires, and then all of these experiences are just coming into our timeline, and it's being filled with all these different experiences that the earth realm or different realms can offer us, and we are really here to try out everything or anything that we desire within our own individuality, because reality is so infinite that some people are just living types of lifestyles and realities that like don't even coincide with ours. There's so many different realities overlapping in the multiplayer arena that, like, just the other day I heard that Chinese mafia in Hong Kong, when they are opening casinos, they take a psychedelic. They have their own Chinese mafia psychedelic, and then everybody sits down and they project like the plan into the field, like in the middle of this like casino bosses and mobsters, and they project the plan in a way of like doing psychedelics and then like projecting the whole business plan or something. So and then now everybody has taken ayahuasca or something, or most of the people were kind of like dabbling into that. But there is all this complex realities and different dimensions, and everything is like coinciding, and there are all these portals and realities and lifestyles and really whatever you saw in a movie like James Bond or whatever, like even Gandalf realities, they're like parallel universe with where I saw Shrek, and then the Hobbits and the Jedi's and all of this stuff. Everything exists. So it's pretty wonderful and wondrous. Now, I gave you a good idea about change, shifting your resistance, and I just illustrated how powerful you are in the bottom line or in the 0 point of things, that you can really invoke any type of override and you can completely shift your reality, shift your identity, shift everything, and create whatever. Now, some people like more stable identities and they like to learn slow, and other people are prone to shape shifting because they're already incarnating from different dimensions where everything is quantum, and it's normal to kind of like shapeshift everything with energy work or voice or whatever sound radiation or whatever kind of way different beings use. It's all quantum work or energy work in the end. So for some beings out there, it's completely normal. They're more used to this faster manifestation because they were over in their natural habitat, in their where they're originally stationed on a higher station of identity. They're just always in a quantum universe. There's no even physical dimension, so everything just sort of follows your thoughts, and it's very fast. Now on the earth, it's more complex and it's slower. It might be slower. It might be also instant manifestation, depending of the coherency that you have with your higher dimensions. But if we play in a 3D, 4D, whatever, 5D, then it kind of slow down, and then there are little pieces of the puzzle coming along, and that is stretched out through this uh, simulation of time. So today you will get one piece of the puzzle, and then you will bring your resonance, your alignment more into whatever you're desiring, and then tomorrow a few more puzzle pieces they fit in, and then we can build complex structures over time. And it's like gardening, you just plant a seed, and then you water the seed, and then the seasons change, and then something grows, and then it gives you fruit, and then you get the seed out of the fruit, you plant another tree, and you have these cycles. So it's very good to practice. Now, the illustration of how powerful actually you are, if you want to pull that out, you then really also need to be comfortable in the space of nothingness or emptiness or 0 point, and you kind of would want to practice a little bit to anchor in that 0 point. So to enter the subdimensional space with your intention, your awareness can flow there only effortlessly, only with your attention. If you just relax and tell your awareness to go there, you will go there. And you also may want to, if you never tried this before, you may also tell yourself that you will not fall into a deep state of sleep, because if humans operate strictly on a surface 3D reality, then we experience the 0 point only in this deep state of sleep, and your brain is either practiced to hold all of these different brainwave bandwidths at the same time in a wakeful state, or it might just feel weird when you go into alpha or delta or theta or whatever. It might feel like drowsy or like you want to fall asleep. So with your intention to effortlessly go there and intention to stay awake, you can explore the alpha, you can explore theta, delta, and you can explore the subdimensional space where everything will actually, your thoughts also and pictures and everything will cease. There will be just an emptiness without even space. But over there you can drop an anchor there, and then you can kind of stretch out through all of these bandwidths, all of these densities, all of these dimensions, and slowly learn how to be centered in the 0 point, and at the same time be in all of these dimensions, super conscious, and then here also operating a vehicle and being in the deepest state of meditation at the same time. And it can work all together. It just needs a little bit of well, like learning to walk, or when you're a baby. It takes a little bit of practice, and like anything, and then it's not that hard once mm, it becomes like normal, natural. So from 0 point space, you can do whatever you want. You can even instantly manifest things quantumly to be like rendered in front of you. Because it works sort of like a screen. The reality, it works sort of like a computer. It works sort of like you can copy paste objects from the quantum potential onto the screen, and that is something that I've kind of experienced, but also I'm just like not stable with this very like, it's like it's a practice again, or it's getting used to reality working in this way, and then uh, again, it's just another perspective of what is very natural. It's not a superpower that is some kind of like yogic cities. These are described as yogic cities in, like, I don't know if you've seen uh, Autobiography of a Yogi or other books where or magicians when they do something like some kind of like magic where something appears fantastically. That's all just a broader perspective on nature and how it works. So it's really not attaining a superpower, it's really attaining a perspective on reality. A little bit broader, we say we expand our consciousness. So yeah, we expand our consciousness, and then we learn to see reality working in this very natural way, but it's just including another dimension of observation. So when we were focused in a 3D dimension, we didn't see that it is possible for reality to work in this way, and on a different dimension, the nature works differently. So once we incorporate this new dimension, this new perspective of observation, it's kind of like just natural. There's no one doing it, it's just like natural. So before you can hold coherency between all dimensions, you can invoke the self, the innermost self, through, prayer, intentional imagination, or whatever kind of thing puts you in that state of feeling your innermost self, and then calling out things into your frontal cortex or whatever, like, it comes throughout uh, all of the densities of this reality architecture in some coherency, and then voila, you have it. And here's now a simple way also that's like suitable for, well, let's say like a beginner to intermediary level of just mastering this whole architecture of reality. Even I'm getting like a little bit at the same time drowsy and activated, because every time I'm touching upon this esoteric knowledge, I'm touching up on the coherency of all dimensions, the energy that flows through me is really coming from this quantum space, the infinite energy of the 0 point, and then I feel also that is reharmonizing all my emotional body, etc. So I'm getting a little bit drowsy right now, because it's also just happening that wherever you tap into God, you are getting that reharmonization, you're getting that energy healing and calibration. So it's just a little bit more intense if we have some things to clear out. It can be more intense. This is what I'm also feeling at the moment, a little bit of clearing that is coming through my layers, my architectural layers, and then that yawning brings the more open space and relaxes, releases all energies, and brings more oxygen and more prana into the system, so it can harmonize. And so beginner to intermediary level for what was it? Dikana tikara tikara tika. It's resistance and how to release it. So energy test how aligned you are with your imagination. So if you want to be closer to your imagination, you may release parts of your identity that are keeping you in a different mindset, different they're creating inner friction basically, because some of your beliefs, let's say, I have to work hard to earn money and there is never enough. Let's say your subconscious heard this so many times and it recorded it, even though you didn't want this belief, but it's just like somebody repeated it in your reality so many times, and you might not even be aware that you have this in your subconscious, because your wakeful mind, and you might be telling yourself that there's nothing wrong, that you want to get paid, that you are worthy of it, and that you desire it. But then you might not know that there is something in the subconscious that is sabotaging you. Okay? And when you do this energy testing and you feel, okay, I have 11% resistance, I have 50% resistance, then you might know that there's something that you believe about this reality from your previous experiences, or stuff that you heard, or even the government is doing this predictive programming where they're using the television and the marketing to implement all kind of ideas to people so they can predict their behavior, right? And some of these ideas are not empowering. They might be even malevolent, like they're terrorists, So that's like not a empowering program. That's to make you afraid of something out there. So that doesn't serve your empowerment. You know what I mean? And there's then some government is doing this predictive programming and it's like manufacturing these like media spells, right? And so you may have seen this on TV or whatever, and then your subconscious memorizes it, and now you're living, and there is fear in your nervous system, but you might not even consciously be aware of it. See what I mean? So when you test your subconscious like this, then all of these beliefs, all of these records, you will first map them out, and you're now aware that there is a energy charge in your subconscious based on whatever is recorded there, and you might want to go into it, write it all down and burn it, but you don't have to do that. You can say, my subconscious, I'm the author here, and I'm speaking these words. They're going into my God self, into subdimensional space, they're going into my innermost self, and these words are coming out of not my ego, not my some perspective of my individuality, because there are many perspectives in your individuality. There are many personalities or sub-personalities there that might be integrated or subconscious, So you just want to say that you are saying this from 0 point, or you're saying this to God, or you're praying it in, or you're invoking it out, or out of God, or you're invoking that, or like it, whatever works for you. But understand that you are saying that this is going to be executed from beyond space-time and phenomena. All right, so God is going, or your innermost self is going to execute this across dimensions. This is the only level that from where you can call in something that overrides all dimensions. If you like say it from the ego or your mental desire or whatever, it's not that. It's going to be limited. It's like imagine a cake. It has all these layers. It has like the crust, and then the banana, and then it has the cream, and then the strawberries, and then the top, and then the sprinkles, and the chocolate, and then you have like the candle, which says it's your 5th birthday, and there is a little light there. And so if you want to cut the cake, you need to go through all of the dimensions, right? And so you will cut it top to bottom. And so you will not go in the cake from the side and then kind of like, try to like get it out or whatever. You have to do top to bottom. It's a clean cut, right? This is the same thing that your innermost self does throughout all of the dimensions of your cake reality. It can cut through and like really override. Now, ah man, this analogy is flawed, but like let's not go into it. Just like pray it in, invoke it, or say I command through God. Okay, I command through my innermost self, or I command through whatever makes sense for you. I'm just trying to give some illustrations so it can be also sort of scientific or left brain. And I'm going to say, I'm going to release all of this resistance, or you're not going to say I'm going. If you want to get more scientific about it, you're going to say all of this is released now from the God self throughout dimensions of space-time. All of this is released now, so I am in 100% alignment with this imagination. It is done. Abracadabra. And once if you did this many times, it doesn't even matter if you use the future tense or the past tense or whatever. Once you know what you mean and you speak from that 0 point, you can say like whatever, just like flip it up, and you don't even have to say it, you don't even have to visualize it anymore. You can just like have a glimpse of it and you say cool, I'm subscribing to that, and I like skip, like you have a remote control, just subscribe into that channel and like delete this channel or unsubscribe from that channel. It becomes very effortless once you know what is happening, and that comes when you integrate it and you create coherency throughout all the layers of the cake. So you know that you are God, and you're not forgetting that. And on all dimensions of this cake, in your emotions, in your beliefs, in your mindset, in your physical body and your higher bodies, everywhere there is no distortion, there's just coherence. And so they're not beliefs, they're like disempowered, even in your subconscious or whatever. You recycle that karma. So if you are in this coherence, then it works effortlessly. Now, oh, well, that should be grounding, smoking some tobacco, but I'm really bridging all of these dimensions, so I will have to also stomp my feet a little bit on the floor just to get into my legs, and because I was flying a little bit here, and then I want to ground again all of this talk. Oh yes, let me give you a really fun example how to clear the resistance on the go. By reviewing what is in your resistance, in your subconscious mind, and is as simple as this. Once you had that imagination that excites you, that gives you a positive feeling, you may want to know that as soon as you release it, it is going to go and create your timeline. So the experience is already in your mood board, and now it's coming to you in your timeline to become a physical, emotional, or whatever experience you were imagining. Now, before we let that go, so we don't cling to it and we don't try to still think about it or quantumly interfere with it, but we just like said it, it's this, and I let it go, and then it comes. There is another thing that you want to do, and that is also when we say we don't want to cling to it, we want to let it go. That also means in a reverse order, we don't want to resist the opposite of that experience. So let's say I want to win the lottery or whatever you want to do. And let's say I can imagine it, and then I let it go. And now it might just happen like later today or tomorrow. And if you do this before sleep, your imaginations, then in the sleep time, your subconscious can rework all the misalignments, and it's very good to just like imagine it before you go to sleep, and then relax and go to sleep, and then tomorrow your new identity is loaded and your new timeline is loaded, and you forget about it and you just walk through your new timeline, and then that happens, and then you remember, okay, this is, I was thinking about this last night, I was imagining this last night, and voila. So this makes it easier, because in sleep you're going into 0 point, and then you're going through all of the dimensions where your energetics can defragment and rearrange things for your imagination to take place. If you are awake and you're going through your day and you're consciously trying to imagine and manifest something, of course you will let that go. But then I'm going to tell you how to also release any clinging or resistance from your subconscious by imagining the opposite scenario. So let's say I don't win the lottery. Now I'm going to imagine, if that does not happen, is there something other that I would be avoiding or resisting, right? Maybe that lottery is a compensation because I'm resisting to do something like I want to have money, but I'm resisting to, I don't know, fulfill another thing, and so I'm sort of resisting the opposite, or I'm resisting not to win the lottery, or I'm clinging to the lottery because I'm resisting not to win the lottery. So this is very important. You know, law of attraction people, they usually tell us imagine and then let go, but imagine you're not going to actually ever experience that thing that you just imagined and released. So you know it's there, it's a possibility, but now imagine that is never going to happen. And then imagine any kind of disappointment, and then imagine where that would lead you, and then imagine a timeline where everything would go wrong, and then exaggerate that, and just like be like, imagine you're in a South Park cartoon, and it doesn't really matter, you will not manifest negative things, and don't be like, if you like afraid to imagine something, the fear is just, you know, they say false evidence appearing real, so it's not really real. You can imagine being devoured by, you can imagine dying in a car accident. It will not make it happen, because when you imagine something consciously, you can actually choose whether you want it to happen or not. If you're afraid in your subconscious that you're going to be in an accident and you're not even aware of it, then you're going to manifest that. But if you bring out all of your fears or resistances to the scenario that is less than your ideal scenario, so let's say you want to manifest a partner, and then that partner, she or he, they never appear in your life. And so you imagine what? You are going to end up alone and miserable for the rest of your life. And then you feel that. And then you like have no money because you didn't get a job, you didn't get a promotion, you didn't win the lottery, you didn't make your own whatever, like business or whatever you wanted to do, and funding for your project that you wanted to manifest never came in, and you are just in a timeline where it's like all the worst things, you make them appear and you exaggerate them to the worst freaking possible scenario, and go into the detail and just put in your imagination or write down or draw, whatever you use. Maybe you can like use drawing or writing or just imagination to kind of be very detailed about that. And so I didn't win the lottery, and then I ended up homeless in the street, having no place to sleep. I'm begging for food, and people are very rude to me, and then I catch pneumonia, and then I die all alone, without partner, without children, without grandchildren, without money, without my house or whatever vacation I wanted to take, and nothing happens for me. And then I don't know, whatever, like zombies, they come and eat me, or vultures, or scary alien beings from the movie Alien, or whatever the freak. And then just exaggerate that and lick, touch, feel that scenario. Now this, and then you let it go. And then you just say, after you let both the positive and negative go, then you just say, I can skip then all this negative stuff and I'll just go to this timeline where I win the lottery. And this is how you will have no clinging, no resistance. You have dabble in the worst and the best possible possibilities, and you just felt it all, smelled it, licked it, touched it, and now you're simply using a relaxed intention and you're saying, I choose this, and that does it.